Listen, close your eyes for a moment. Think of a man you love, your father, your brother, your friend, your son. Now picture him at 45 or 55 or 65. What did you just see in your mind's eye? Decline, a slowing down. The beginning of the end. We have been sold a story, a biological lie, that a man's peak is behind him by the time the first gray hair appears. And that story isn't just false, it's a poison. It's masking the real epidemic. Age isn't killing men's spirit, health, or vitality. And today, we expose the 6 true culprits. The first key point, the solitude economy, is not merely about feeling lonely occasionally. It is the calculated, systematic dismantling of a man's social ecosystem, replaced by a transactional value system that leaves him profoundly vulnerable. We must understand this as an economic model, because it is about the allocation of the most precious resource, human connection. From the very beginning, a boy's world is often structured around doing, not being. Friendships are forged on the playing field or through shared tasks, the team, the project, the mission. This isn't inherently negative, it builds camaraderie. But the trap is that connection remains conditional, permanently lashed to an external activity. As life progresses, the currency of male interaction becomes almost exclusively utilitarian. Conversations happen in the margins of work, or are about work. The weekly basketball game or the coffee chat is, unconsciously, often the only permissible venue for bonding, and even there, the dialogue frequently orbits around roles, jobs, fatherhood, home maintenance, the vulnerability, the shared uncertainty, the simple act of bearing witness to another man's inner life without the intent to fix it, is a language many are never taught to speak. This creates a fragile architecture. When the primary pillars of a man's identity, his career, his role as the active parent, his physical prowess inevitably shift or transform, the entire structure of connection is at risk. The colleagues disappear upon retirement. The children grow and need a different kind of father. The body can't perform the same athletic feats that once anchored the weekly gathering. What is left, often, a silent house and a phone that doesn't ring. We then compound this by labeling this isolation as his choice, or worse, as a natural byproduct of aging. He's just settled into his routine, we say, but this is not a routine, it is a starvation. The brain experiences chronic social isolation as a threat, triggering cascading stress responses. It impacts cognition, sleep, and inflammatory pathways. We will medically treat the high blood pressure or the depression that follows, but we refuse to treat the root cause, a life stripped of meaningful, non-transactional fellowship. This solitude economy is enforced by a cruel societal narrative that equates needing connection with neediness and viewing friendship, building in midlife or beyond, as indulgent or suspicious. A man is celebrated for networking to get a job, but rarely for building a circle to save his soul. He is conditioned to be the fortress, never the village. So he sits, often surrounded by a lifetime of achievements. The house, the car, the trophies which ring hollow because they are artifacts of a system that valued his output, but discarded his humanity. The grief that emerges isn't for lost youth, it's for the lost threads of communion that were never properly tied. He wasn't given the tools to weave a social safety net, only a ladder to climb. And when the ladder is taken away, he finds himself suspended in air, looking around at a landscape where everyone else seems to be standing on solid ground, connected by invisible, sturdy bridges he doesn't know how to build. This is the great betrayal, convincing him that his worth was in what he provided alone, and then acting surprised when, his providing roles diminished, he feels he has no worth at all. The solitude is not an accident. It is the logical endpoint of a life lived as a function rather than a human being. Reversing this requires a radical reevaluation of what we consider valuable in a man's life, not just his productive capacity, but his capacity for deep, abiding, and expressive connection, independent of any role he holds. So where does this leave us? It leaves us with a clear and urgent truth. We have been diagnosing the wrong disease. We have looked at a man facing isolation, rigidity, emotional silence, and physical decline, and we have lazily pointed to the calendar. We have mistaken the symptom for the cause. Age is the backdrop, not the actor. The real actors in this tragedy are the silent, systemic forces we have named today. The solitude economy that bankrupts connection, the armor that becomes a cage, the purpose cliff we push men toward, the slow surrender we excuse as inevitability, the digital displacement that atrophies agency, and the foundational emotional illiteracy that leaves a man a stranger in his own inner world. To continue blaming age is not just incorrect, it is a form of societal surrender. It is a way to absolve ourselves of the responsibility to change the very environments, expectations, and scripts that are causing the damage. Therefore, the mission is not to fight aging, but to fight the constructs that make aging so needlessly perilous for men. It is a cultural renovation project. It demands that we stop praising stoic suffering and start honoring vulnerable strength. It requires that we build communities that value a man's presence as much as his production. It insists that our medical professionals look beyond the number on a birth certificate to the lifestyle and emotional patterns that truly dictate health. It calls for the revival of rites of passage that are not about conquest, but about continuous growth and service. We must offer boys and men a new vocabulary, one that includes words for grief, fear, and longing, and we must celebrate when they use it. This is not about diminishing masculinity. It is about expanding its definition into something sustainable and whole. A man's strength can be found in the courage to connect deeply, not just in the capacity to endure alone. His wisdom can be expressed in seeking guidance, not just in providing it. His legacy can be measured in the quality of his relationships and the health of his spirit, not just in the trophies on his shelf. The path forward is one of permission granting men and teaching men to grant themselves the permission to feel fully, to need others authentically, to redefine purpose on their own terms, and to tend to their physical and emotional selves with the same diligence they were taught to tend to their responsibilities. Let us then, from this moment forward, declare the old story obsolete. When we see a man struggling, we will no longer whisper, "He's just getting old." We will instead ask the revolutionary question, what is hurting him? And we will have the courage to listen for the real answers. The work is profound, but it begins with a simple seismic shift. Stop blaming age. For in that act of stopping, we start the vital work of healing not just men, but the very idea of what it means to be a man across an entire lifetime. Our fathers, brothers, friends, and sons are waiting. Let us meet them with this new and honest compass. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this message resonated with you, if you see the truth in this new compass, then your role begins now. Do not let this simply be a speech you heard. Let it be a catalyst. Take this and use it. Have the conversation it inspires. Share it with a man in your life not as a critique, but as an offering of a new lens. Challenge the old story when you hear it spoken in your workplace, your family, your own inner dialogue. Your engagement is what transforms a monologue into a movement. Subscribe for more content that aims to replace outdated narratives with honest dialogue. Below, tell me in the comments which of the 6 points hit home the most. Your insight helps guide what we build next. This is the work of a lifetime, and it starts with a single shared conversation. Thank you. Until next time, take care and keep building.